Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Dear students, I am your teacher Dr. Irfan Ali with the new lecture of the course Post Harvest Horticulture, that is HORT 508. Students, today we will discuss about process of artificial ripening of horticultural commodities. Today's lecture will be having following contents, that is, first of all we will define what is ripening, then changes that are being taken place during ripening, then is fruits and their ripening patterns, as we have discussed in our previous lecture as well, that is climacteric pattern and non-climacteric pattern. Then is role of ethylene in ripening, and after that we will discuss artificial ripening, in which we will discuss in detail the mechanism of action of artificial ripening agents. Then we will discuss about use of calcium carbide, that is very common in the third world countries, and its implementations. So first of all we will define what is ripening. Ripening is the final phase in food development, and it involves a complex series of events such as changes in color, softening of the pericarp, and changes in sweetness and flavor, ultimately making the fruits both tasty and attractive to eat for consumers. Similarly, we can also define ripening as a dramatic event in the life of fruit that transforms a physiologically mature but inedible fruit or plant organ into a visually attractive olfactory and taste sensation. It marks the completion of development of a fruit and the commencement of senescence, that is the death of the plant tissue, and it is normally an irreversible event. Fruits are consumed at the edible ripe stage after they have attained the physiological maturity. We have discussed in detail what is physiological and what is horticultural maturity in our previous lectures. So it takes place at the later part of the process of fruit growth, development and senescence. This is achieved by changes in the composition such as conversion of starch to simple sugars, acids to neutral, large organic compound to small organic compounds, less soluble pectin to soluble pectins, etc. All these processes initiate when the fruit have reached their optimum maturity. Therefore, palatability and nutritional quality of the fruits are highly dependent on its consumption at an optimum stage of ripeness. Students, ethylene, about which we have discussed a lot in our previous lectures, is a hormone that is naturally produced within the fruits. It regulates fruit ripening by initiating or controlling a series of chemical and biochemical activities. We will discuss the role of ethylene in ripening in the further slides. So now we will discuss what are the changes that are carried out by the process of ripening. So as we have discussed earlier, that ripening is the result of complex changes, many of them probably occurring independently of one another. Some of the major changes that take place during the process of ripening include seed maturation, color changes, abscission, changes in respiration rate, changes in the rate of ethylene production, changes in tissue permeability, softening, changes in carbohydrate composition, that is conversion of complex carbohydrates into simple sugars, changes in organic acids, changes in protein, production of flavor volatiles, development of wax on the skin of the commodity. So these are the major changes that take place with the passage of ripening or with the passage of time during ripening. Student, now we will discuss about the ripening patterns of different fruits. As most of you know that some fruits are harvested when they are fully mature and ripened in the orchard, for example strawberry or grapes. Students, such fruits if harvested earlier cannot be ripened so as to get full taste of the produce, but some fruits if harvested in fully mature condition can be ripened after harvesting without disturbing the quality, for example mango and banana. Students, fruits are living commodities and respire continuously, and this act is responsible in showing such characters as mentioned above, as mentioned in the previous slides. So according to the ripening pattern and respiration rate, fruits are classified into two categories. We have discussed in detail in the previous slides, so we will not discuss in detail in these slides. The fruits can be categorized on these bases into two categories, or the ripening pattern can be categorized into two patterns. First one is climacteric pattern. Student, the rate of respiration prior to start of ripening decreases to minimum, that is pre-climacteric minima, and as ripening starts the rate of respiration increases to maximum and then falls steadily. Such type of phenomena is termed as climacteric pattern of respiration, and the fruits showing such activity are called as climacteric fruits. It comprises most deciduous tree fruit species, for example apple, pear, apricot, peaches, many tropical and subtropical fruits, for example banana, guava, avocado, mango, etc., and some fruit vegetables such as tomatoes. The second pattern that is based on the respiration or respiration rate of the fruit is the non-climacteric pattern. The growth and development of fruit is accomplished by a decline in the rate of respiration. This decline is continuous throughout ripening, whether it is pre or post harvest stage, and continues throughout senescence. We have discussed a lot about these type of patterns. In non-climacteric pattern, fruit showing such activities are non-climacteric fruits. The example of non-climacteric fruits are lemon, orange, grapes, cherry, pineapple, strawberry, etc. Student, we have discussed different climacteric patterns on the basis of respiration. Another agent that is involved in the ripening of climacteric and non-climacteric fruit is ethylene. So now we will discuss the role of ethylene in ripening. Student, ethylene's role as a potent plant growth regulator affecting many phases of plant growth and development was established in the last 50 years, but its effect has been known for centuries. Ethylene plays a role in the post-rest life of many horticultural commodities, often deleterious, speeding senescence and reducing shelf life, and beneficial improving quality of the product by promoting faster, more uniform ripening before retail distribution. Climacteric and non-climacteric fruits may be further differentiated by their response to applied ethylene and by their pattern of ethylene production during ripening, very similar to that of respiration. It has been clearly established that all fruits produce minute quantity of ethylene during development. However, coincident with ripening, climacteric fruit produce much larger amount of ethylene than non-climacteric fruits, very similar to that of respiration. This difference between the two classes of fruit is further exemplified by the internal ethylene concentration found at several stages of development and ripening. The internal ethylene concentration of climacteric fruit vary widely but that of non-climacteric fruit changes little during development and ripening. Ethylene applied at a concentration as low as 0.1 to 1 microliters per liter for 1 day is normally sufficient to hasten full ripening of climacteric fruits. But the magnitude of climacteric is relatively independent of the concentration of applied ethylene. In contrast, applied ethylene merely increases respiration of non-climacteric fruits, the magnitude of increase being dependent on concentration of ethylene. Moreover, the rise in respiration in response to ethylene may occur more than once in non-climacteric fruits in contrast to the single respiration increase in climacteric one. So here it is a table in which you can see internal ethylene concentrations measured in several climacteric and non-climacteric fruits. So after understanding the basic physiology of ripening and the agents that are involved in ripening, now we will discuss about commercial or artificial ripening. Students, transportation and distributing fruits from the farmer's orchard to consumer's basket can take several days, and during this time the naturally ripened fruits may become overripe and inedible. Climacteric fruits, particularly tropical and subtropical species, are frequently harvested when less than fully ripe and then transported, often over considerable distances to areas of consumptions. Here these fruits are ripened to optimum quality under controlled conditions of temperature, relative humidity, and with some fruits through the additional ripening agents or gases. Commercial ripening is an essential part of the fruit business, as ripe fruits are not suitable to carry and distribute due to their fast ripening. A part of naturally ripened fruits can also be damaged during harsh conditions of transportation. It indeed increases great economic losses for the fruit sellers, and therefore to minimize the losses, fruit sellers sometimes prefer collecting fruits at mature green stage and artificially ripen them before selling to the consumers. Student, fruit sellers artificially ripen green fruits even during the due season to meet the high demand and make high profit of seasonal fruits. Under natural conditions, fruits usually ripen slowly, leading to high weight loss, uneven ripening, and poor color development. So artificial ripening is done to achieve faster and more uniform ripening. Furthermore, it is the process by which ripening is controlled and product may be achieved as per requirement by controlling the different parameters. A further advantage of controlled ripening is to improve uniformity of ripening of the fruit. The use of relatively high ripening temperature may also minimize the development of rots in ripe tropical fruits. In contrast, non-climacteric fruits generally undergo little or no desirable changes in composition after harvest and must not be harvested until fit for consumptions. We have discussed about ripening agents in our previous slide. We will just see in a few lines what is ripening agent. Ripening agents are the substances which hasten the ripening process, and it comes in different form. These include ethylene gas, ethaphone, ethylene glycol, ethyl, and calcium carbide. So now we will discuss about the mechanism of action of ripening agents. As we have discussed earlier, the concentration of ethylene required for the ripening of various fruits vary, but in most cases that is in the range of 0.1 to 1 ppm. The time of exposure to initiate full ripening also vary depending upon the type of fruit. Several chemical agents are used as artificial ripeners, but we will discuss some important ones here in the lecture which are the source of ethylene or acetylene production. The acetylene gas has very similar type of action that is to ethylene. Ethylene regulates the fruit ripening by coordinating the expression of genes responsible for enhancing the rate of respiration, autocatalytic ethylene production within the commodity, then chlorophyll degradation, carotene synthesis, conversion of starch to sugars, and increased activity of cell wall degrading enzymes. It can be produced artificially by gas emission system or ethylene generators. In ethylene generator, ethanol is heated in the presence of catalyst to produce ethylene. While if we use ethylene mixture, we use ethylene 6% in carbon dioxide by weight to avoid explosion for fruit ripening. So here are some of the commodities that need different concentration of ethylene, the exposure time and ripening condition. Another agent that is used is called as ethaphone or ethyl, that is 2-chloroethane phosphonic acid. Ethaphone is acidic in water and liberates ethylene in neutral to basic medium. Ethaphone penetrates the fruit and decomposes to ethylene, thereby hastens the ripening process. The third ripening agent is ethylene glycol. Ethylene reacts with hydrogen peroxide to produce the ethylene glycol. Ethylene glycol is colorless, odorless and sweet tasting liquid. Students, ethylene glycol when diluted with water can ripen various fruits faster than the regular ripening rate of the fruits in particular colder climatic condition. It can also act like ethylene in fruit ripening process. Then the fourth one is calcium carbide, which is very common in the third world countries. So when calcium carbide is hydrolyzed, it produces acetylene, which acts as an artificial ripening agent. It also contains trace amount of ethylene that is sufficient to be used in fruit ripening. So these were the artificial ripening agents for the fruits that are being used in various countries. Now we will specially discuss the use of calcium carbide and its implications. First of all is the identification. Calcium carbide is the grayish black lump shaped solid or crystals which has slight garlic like odor. It is readily produced by heating calcium oxide with charcoal under reducing conditions. It is commonly used to make acetylene and other chemicals in metallurgy. It is considered a cheap source of ripening agents and also easy method to use by general people, but they are not conscious about the hazards that it can commence. So which type of hazards that are associated with the use of calcium carbide are? First of all, we will discuss about the acute health effects. And among the acute health effects, number one is contact can severely irritate or burn the eyes and skin, causing permanent eye damage and ulcers on the skin. Number two, exposure can severely irritate the mouth, nose and throat, causing sores, cough and wheezing. Number three, irritate the lungs, causing coughing and shortness of breath. High exposure may cause a buildup of fluid in the lungs called as pulmonary edema. It is a medical emergency with severe shortness of breath. Students, calcium carbide also contains traces of arsenic and phosphorus. Early symptoms of arsenic or phosphorus poisoning include vomiting, diarrhea with or without blood, burning sensation of the chest and abdomen, thirst, weakness and difficulty in swallowing and speech, and garlic-like odor of breath. Other effects include numbness in the legs and hands, general weakness, cold and damp skin, and low blood pressure. While most cases of arsenic and phosphorus poisoning are detected before they become fatal, if not treated in time, these can prove fatal, especially for pregnant women. When we talk about the chronic health effects of calcium carbide, the chronic health effect can occur at the some time after exposure to calcium carbide and can last for months or even years. Calcium carbide has not been tested for its ability to cause cancer and reproductive hazards, but may cause bronchitis to develop with cough, phlegm, or shortness of breath. So, because of these acute and chronic effects of the use of calcium carbide, many countries including Pakistan have banned the use of calcium carbide. So now we will discuss about the detection of artificially ripened fruits. How one can detect that the fruit is artificially ripened. Students, although the use of carbide has been banned under the Food Act and is punishable, but a few seems to care. Artificial ripened fruits are much likely to occur on the market, especially in case of mango and banana. It is suggested that naturally ripened fruits are not uniformly yellow. Artificially ripened fruits bear white streaks on the skin, whereas naturally ripened fruits would be mix of green and yellow. Close scrutiny can make it possible to identify fruits that have been treated with carbide. When tomatoes are uniformly red or mangoes and papayas are uniformly orange, one could easily make out that carbide may have been used. Banana can also be identified if the stem is dark green while the fruits are all yellow. Suspected sample may be tested for the phosphorus and arsenic residues in the laboratory to verify the observations. So students, this was all about the today's lecture, in which we have studied the ripening physiology, role of ethylene in ripening, artificial ripening methods, and the hazards of artificial ripening. So I hope you would have understood the lecture well, and any question about the lecture will be welcomed in the comment section.